Umar Haque has written several pieces about fascism as it's approaching the United States. And I found, thanks to Kay sending me these pieces written by him, I found such a parallel way of thinking. And again, I never had to deal with fascism up front and personal. Umar Haque did in Pakistan, in his religion, Islam. But this most recent piece he's written parallels the things that I've been saying for at least the past, 20 years. I'm not trying to set myself up as some political predictor or somebody smarter than the political scientists or the journalists or the pundits, because I'm not. But if you're a regular listener to this program, you know I don't mince words. I say it the way I see it. And if I feel later that what I said was grossly untrue or misleading, I'll come back and correct it. But where it concerns fascism, my thoughts on how this country is heading right towards it have not wavered in the past 20 years. There have been detours, slight detours, during the Obama years. But even Obama could not stop it. In fact, some people are saying that Obama may have, with his presence, the fact that he was an African-American man, may have been the harbinger of fascism to come. Not from anything he did, but because of the insane reaction to his being president. And I'll get to that in a moment in this article. So anyway, Umar Haque. Today, Trump defended the extremist who gunned down innocent protesters in Kenosha in an act of textbook political violence. Meanwhile, Joe Biden gave a speech where he didn't say the word fascism. There's a tiny lesson in there that maybe only we survivors of authoritarianism can fully yet see. Every single person I meet lately says the same thing to me, which is, Biden's going to lose the election, isn't he? They're asking, looking for me to disagree, hoping for a last-minute reprieve. But I don't disagree. Biden is going to lose the election at this rate. Biden's a good man. I like him. But he's not fighting this fight the way it needs to be fought. Now, real Americans will find themselves a little bit, maybe a lot, baffled by what I'm about to write. Let me digress. I don't think he has American citizenship. But he puts the word real in quotes. He's referring to people like me and you. Now, real Americans will find themselves a little bit, maybe a lot, baffled by what I'm about to write. So let me challenge you. How much experience do you have with authoritarianism, with fascism? Any? The real American has exactly none. We survivors, on the other hand, do. And here's what we think. To really fight authoritarians and fascists, you have to do three things, none of which Biden is doing. It's not enough to make vague moral appeals to a nation and say things like, the bad guys are bad guys, which is more or less what the Democratic strategy is and has been. Nobody cares in such desperate moments as these about the luxury of morality. People are concerned with self-preservation, first and foremost. That is how America got here. It entered a classic fascist spiral. The middle class became a minority in 2010. So what happens when a nation suddenly becomes massively poorer? When 80% live hand to mouth and 75% can't pay the bills, and the average person dies in debt, life becomes a bitter, brutal struggle for self-preservation. And the fascists win, because they are the apotheosis of the politics of self-preservation. A demagogue comes along who blames a failing society's problems on hated minorities. People don't even have to believe him fully. They merely have to admit the possibility, which grows in their minds. As life becomes ever more desperate, one day they turn around and snarl in rage, snapping, "Those dirty, filthy subhumans are the reason my life is going nowhere." And that is how a fascist is born. And that is exactly what happened in America. That is why morality serves no purpose here. It's just preaching to the choir. But I know that real Americans still don't understand what I mean, so let me give you 3 vivid illustrations. What happened in 2016? It's not that it was okay to vote for Trump. It wasn't. That's precisely why what I call a secret hate vote emerged. In a stunning turn of events, America's so-called white soccer moms handed the presidency to Trump. Why was that hate vote so secret? Precisely because it was immoral to vote for Trump. All those soccer moms didn't want anyone to know, not their friends, husbands, pollsters, kids. That's why the hate vote was a secret and a surprise. It was deeply immoral, as in shameful, embarrassing, humiliating, wrong, to vote for Trump in 2016, even to the soccer moms who decided the election for him. But they did it anyway. Morality is not how you fight fascism. So now that constituency, the white soccer moms, so-called, is crucial all over again. It's eminently possible that in about 60 days, America's white women will hand Trump another term, which will mean the end of American democracy. Why wouldn't they? Sure, they might feel humiliated and shamed because Biden's making them feel that way. That didn't change things last time, and it won't change them this time. People need a much, much more concrete reason not to back the fascists in times when self-preservation takes hold. Soccer moms might feel easily, quote, "I'm not telling anybody. They'll shame me. But Trump is the one that'll make my life better for my precious kids. They deserve what he's promising them. Supremacy." End quote. So soccer moms might easily think the same stuff all over again. Morality is not how you fight fascism. How do you? I'll come to that. What happened last time with young people, another crucial constituency, they talked a good game, and they still do. They'll cancel you for using the wrong pronoun, but they didn't vote in the most crucial election of a lifetime, and there's no sign whatsoever that they're going to vote this time either. Why didn't they vote last time, the young people? Morality doesn't cut it against fascists. Cancel culture is a kind of neo-morality, and young people will send a tweet to cancel someone who doesn't hew to their mores about gender. That's true. But voting is not just a moral act. It is an act of self-preservation. And young people don't vote because nobody much has promised them yet a future they really want. Or maybe it's worse than that. Bernie promised that, and they still didn't vote for him. What that tells us is that young people are traumatized, wounded, experiencing a kind of learned helplessness. They are paralyzed with fear. Growing up now is a terrifying experience. Moral appeals aren't going to help. Shaming young people, making them feel even more scared, it's only going to lead to inaction the same way that it did before. If even Bernie Sanders can't rouse youths from their slumber, do you really think Biden has any chance? No way. Morality doesn't cut it when it comes to fighting fascism. Young people know, deeply know, how badly wrong all this is. They knew it last time, and they knew it all over again when they could have chosen Bernie. They didn't act because their lives are nothing but the bitter battle for self-preservation, and that is a deeply degrading and demoralizing experience to the point of futility and nihilism. Young people need to be woken up gently with the hand of a loving parent who makes them feel safe and worthy and whole again. That is not anything remotely close to what the Democrats offer with their lightweight moral battles. If Biden loses these two constituencies, the so-called white soccer moms and the young people, and he's looking increasingly likely to do so, bang, that's it. American democracy is over. And it will end much the same way that so many others have. Now, let me give you another example. How did democracy die in, say, the Islamic world? The silent majority didn't think that it was particularly moral, good, noble, wonderful to install Sharia law and whatnot. They just silently let it happen. Because nobody taught them what was to come. Nobody taught them the history of fascism. Nobody taught them what happens when the most violent and stupid men in a society rule it with an iron fist. What the opposition in the Islamic world did was exactly what the Democrats are doing. It made moral appeals. It said, these are bad dudes. You don't want to be bad people, do you? Let's stay a democracy. And the silent majority was simply baffled, bewildered by all this. Yes, they seemed like bad dudes, or were they good ones? Because they'd give the children of the pure and true an advantage, because they'd punish the hated minorities. Morality doesn't fight fascism. What didn't happen in the Islamic world, at least in much of it, or enough of it, was intellectuals, the opposition, leaders of all kinds, saying any of the following to the people. This is fascism. Let us tell you what fascism is, how it destroys you in the end. Let's think about what it did across history, how it's never once led to prosperity or peace or freedom, only to ruin for its most ardent supporters. Is that what you really want? To live in poverty, disgrace, violence, brutality, fear? Aren't your lives hard enough? Hi, Truth Seekers. Mike Malloy here. As you know, we've switched formats and are now broadcast exclusively on the Progressive Voices Network. So that means you get fewer program interruptions, no corporate commercials, and lots of profanity. But our format change also means some of our radio listeners no longer hear the program. It's been a while since I mentioned our podcasts, so you may have forgotten that there is a way to listen to this program anytime you need a good dose of screaming. Visit MikeMalloy.com and subscribe to our podcasts. You have your choice. You can listen to the ranting with the audio podcast, or listen and watch me lose control with a video podcast subscription. As a podcast subscriber, you can download the program to your mobile device and take me with you wherever you go. And if you have a friend who needs a dose of truth-seeking, you can give a gift subscription as well. That's MikeMalloy.com, and never miss a minute of the uncensored fun and frivolity.